13 Eyewitness News is closed caption for the hearing impaired. You're watching Channel 13, KTRK TV, Houston, #1 in Texas. Eyewitness News with Debbie Johnson and Alan Himberger. Tim Melton has sports. And Frank Billingsley with weather. Now, Channel 13, Eyewitness News.
Residents along the upper Texas Gulf Coast, including Galveston, battening down the hatches at this hour, preparing for Hurricane Jerry to come ashore. Good evening, everyone. Hurricane Jerry appears to have made up his mind this evening and is just hours away from landfall near the Galveston coast.
This fickle storm has kept weather forecasters on their toes for much of the past 24 hours, and that includes our Frank Billingsley, who joins us now live from the Weather Center with the latest information. Frank?
Thank you, Debbie. We do have a slight increase in strength with the storm, and we may even get just a little bit more before it makes landfall in the next few hours. Let's take you to the radar, and this is from about 9 o'clock this morning. About noon, this really began to tighten up. The system became very well organized. You can see the eye forming and then just making a beeline toward Galveston, where it now lies about 35 miles offshore and will be bearing down on Galveston Island probably between 8 and 9 o'clock tonight. Here's a satellite picture. You can see the clouds hugging the coast. The current position, 28.8 north, 94.7 west. That's 35 miles south of Galveston, and it is moving north at 13 miles an hour. The wind strength now up to 85 miles per hour. It may get a little stronger before it actually makes landfall. The barometric pressure continues to drop, now at 29.06 inches. My colleague Joe Diaz is down at the National Weather Service in Alvin. He has the latest from there. Joe?
Frank, it looks like the center of the storm is about 25 miles away from Galveston right now, but the eye wall, the outer area of thunderstorms, is about 10 miles right from the coast of Galveston, so we're really getting into some serious situations over here. First of all, we are about an hour away from high tides, and in about an hour, tides are expected to be above the 4-foot level. That causes lots of problems. 5 to 8 foot tides expected by around 8 o'clock tonight. Serious coastal flooding in the towns of Kemah, Seabrook, Clear Lake, Baytown, and the Surfside area. Now, this is a very tight Category 1 hurricane, as you mentioned. Most of the devastation will be right from the center of the hurricane to the east of it in a limited area right around 30 miles to the east, and this will be the progress as it moves to the north-northwest. With me is Ron Stagno. What do you think will happen along the southern portion of Harris County wind-wise for tonight?
Yes, Joe, I believe the hurricane will track to the north-northwest, move into the southern portion of Harris County by about 9 o'clock tonight. Wind should increase in the southern portion of Harris County to between 40 and 50 miles per hour by about 7 o'clock, with winds gusting to 50, 60 miles per hour, maybe even a gust or two to 70 miles per hour in the southern portion of Harris County by 10 o'clock tonight.
Wind-wise, we're thinking that will be over a very limited area. We're talking about 5 and 6 inch rainfall amounts, maybe more, but right now, serious coastal flooding. That's upon us. Back to you, Frank.
Very much, Joe, and we are under a flash flood watch as well as a tornado watch here in parts of the Houston area. We will have those aerial outlines and more coming up in the weather portion of this newscast. Now let's go back to Alan and Debbie.
Okay, Frank, thank you.
Well, city officials on Galveston Island have been watching and waiting as the storm bears down on that coastal community.
Our caller Carlos Aguilar is on West Beach. He joins us live now with preparations underway for Hurricane Jerry. Carlos.
Preparations, yes, but right now we're starting to feel the impact of Hurricane Jerry. As you can tell behind me and by our movement, we're getting wind gusts here. I have no idea how hard the wind's blowing right now, but it's making it almost impossible for us to stand. There has been preparation all day here on the island. Here's what that preparation looked like this morning. Conditions in advance of Hurricane Jerry brought the people out on Galveston Island to watch. The surf was up and the surfers were out.
Fun a little while ago, but there's a few too many fools out in the water right now.
No doubt. Got to be here. Got to get it while the getting's good.
Some businesses along the seawall weren't taking any chances and began boarding up for Hurricane Jerry.
Just be cautious, that's all.
At the west end of Galveston Island, where there is no seawall for protection, there was concern for flooding.
That's some 22 miles. We have approximately 5,000 residents in that area, and we're concerned that they might have to come inland around 5 or 6 o'clock this afternoon.
Some West End Island residents were on hand to batten down the hatches.
We just try to protect the property and do the best we can to survive it.
This Girl Scout troop was caught off guard and headed home.
We weren't going to come back this early, but because of the weather, we thought we better get on home.
For those who decided to stay, a quick trip to the gas station was necessary to make sure they had enough gas to evacuate if need be. Also, some stocked up on provisions like water and canned goods.
Not much to say. You don't have any time to do anything else but wait on customers.
These winds that we're feeling right now may force officials here on the island to close down the causeway. If they haven't already, they were going to work in conjunction with county and state officials, saying they were telling people in Houston not to come onto the island at this late stage to try to batten down their property or any other interest they might have here, because they might get stranded because of the high winds or high waters. Behind me is the portion of Galveston Island that is unprotected by the sea wall, and as you can see, the waves are really coming up to this hotel here, condominiums. The waves are starting to hit the piers up underneath the building there. So we have some footage here later on, I'm sure, to show you later on at 10 tonight. We'll be standing by, and Larry Mullins here behind the camera is having a hard time standing up. Back to you guys in Houston in the comfortable studio.
All right, Carlos, take cover. Thank you for that report.
Now, the Bolivar Peninsula is another area that's going to see some heavy rains and high winds tonight.
Our Ben Wilson is there, and he joins us live with the latest. Ben?
Well, the wind is roaring and the waves are roaring behind me. The Gulf of Mexico, as you can see, is getting angrier and angrier, and they're angry at the banks of the shoreline, and they're roaring at us along High Island, which is near the highest point on Bolivar Peninsula. Now, somewhere along here, residents are preparing for and expecting the full brunt of Jerry. And those several miles and several stretches of miles of Highway 87 are passable right now. There are some sections, like right along here where we are, where the road is closed as the water is starting to spill over onto Highway 87.
Well, I think everybody's learned a lesson from Hurricane Alicia. They've gained respect for hurricanes now and don't wait till the last minute to act.
This man is leaving. He says flooding and high winds are no strangers to low-lying Bolivar Peninsula. But an October hurricane, well, it may have caught a few people off guard. Highway 87 was lined with cars, campers, and boats in tow for much of the day. But officials say the automobiles may be replaced with high water when 5 to 8 foot tides roll in sometime after 6 o'clock. And that threat has emergency management officials asking Bolivar residents to leave low-lying areas of the peninsula, a peninsula that is mostly at sea level. The threat of a minimal hurricane is enough to drive some people to higher ground, but others say they need more convincing.
Pick up what you have, all your valuables or whatever, put them up high where they're high and dry, yeah.
Are you going to be leaving?
Yeah, I'm leaving now.
Where are you going?
To Houston.
Are you going to leave?
No, I don't believe so.
Why not?
I've just stuck it out here several other times and just rode it out, and there was nothing that bad.
Now, we're not able to stay here for very much longer. As you can see, the water is creeping closer and closer to where we're standing, but we do want to pass on some emergency information to you from the Chambers County emergency management officials. They are saying and asking all residents of low-lying areas of Chambers County to please move to higher ground, including residents of Smith Point, Cedar Point, and Oak Island. Again, all low-lying areas of Chambers County. Of course, that applies also to low-lying areas of Bolivar Peninsula. For Chambers County, evacuation shelter sites have been set up at Anahuac Junior High, that's Anahuac Junior High, as well as Winnie High School. That's the situation here, one that is threatening, and certainly the threat grows as time passes. Back to you.
Okay, Ben, thanks very much.
One quick note, Hurricane Jerry has also forced the Lynchburg ferry to close. No traffic will be allowed on the ferry until further notice. And we understand the Bolivar ferry may close if seas reach 5 feet.
We're going to have more, a lot more on Hurricane Jerry coming up.
And please stay with us for our special coverage.
Splendid news. Not only can iMaster's in-store lab make your glasses in about an hour, but right now, when you buy one pair, you'll get a second pair free. And you can choose your free pair from a dazzling array of...
Will be felt all up and down the upper Texas Gulf Coast, and that includes Sabine Pass along the Texas-Louisiana border. Our Cynthia Cisneros is there, and she has more on that situation.
By mid-afternoon, the Gulf water was already seeping over South 1st Avenue and Sabine Pass. Highway 87 going west to High Island was blocked off to traffic. You could see the water inching its way past the dunes onto the highway. We found only one home being boarded. In just a couple of hours, though, the waves had reached storm proportion. They were crashing over the sea barrier. But just a couple of miles down the road, this trailer park seemed to be taking a wait-and-see attitude. There were no signs of hurricane preparation. So that's the attitude here. It's basically wait and see. It seems no one wants to leave here before they absolutely have to. That's the situation in Sabine Pass. I'm Cynthia Cisneros. Now back to you in Houston.
And from Sabine Pass, let's move closer to home, where the Clear Lake Kemah area is bracing for a dose of flooding tonight. City officials in Clear Lake Shores have been busy during the last few hours putting up flood markers and preparing roadblocks. After Hurricane Chantal hit the area in July, there was 4 feet of water on this road and in City Hall.
We are getting prepared for a full-blown storm in case it happens. We're setting up markers now for the roads, getting all our officers on standby. We have 6 or 7 men that are coming now at this time, and checking with the marinas, make sure that they're tied down, boats are secured, and get ready for it.
In Galveston Bay, boat owners only found out during the last few hours that Jerry changed direction. They're now working to secure their crafts.
Down the coast to Surfside, residents in that coastal community are also boarding up their businesses and their homes. Local authorities have recommended those in low-lying areas and also mobile homes evacuate. Officials may also close the intercoastal bridge into Surfside to incoming traffic if conditions warrant. By late this afternoon, rising tides have swallowed more than 150 feet of shoreline. Cans that usually collect trash are now collecting water. One group taking advantage of the high tide, the surfers, of course. Hundreds of wave riders took to the rising tides, but by nightfall, they and everyone else along the beaches will be asked to leave.
Well, from the looks of things, they may be calling Houston the Windy City this evening, but the Oilers travel to the real Windy City this weekend in a matchup against the Bears.
Tim Melton joins us next with sports. Stay with us.
John Madden on defense.
Okay, how do you defend your valve train against wear? It used to be simple, but today, lots of engines have 16, 24, even 32 valves slamming up and down 16,000 times a minute. And your only defense is your oil. So it better be a super oil, like Superflow from Exxon. Want to defend today's engines? Go with an oil specially designed for them.
Go with the flow, Exxon Superflow.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Value Guy.
Now, you've told us what you want most in an independent supermarket, and I pledge to you that the Value Guys will continue to deliver with values like these.
Regular or no salt Del Monte vegetables, 3 cans for $1. Cal-Can dog food assorted varieties, 3 cans for $1. And California iceberg lettuce, buy 1, get 1 free. This week only at Jumbo, Continental, Klein's, Holiday Foods, and Minimax.
Come in and meet the Value Guys today.
The second leading cause of death in teenagers is a disease called depression. I know about it. My son was hard to handle. Kept saying he wished he were dead. I thought he was going through a stage. Last year, he killed himself. I guess you could say he died of sadness.
If someone is changing before your eyes, call Laurelwood Hospital now at 800-999-4435.
What's the best year-round blazer? Ask George.
These American-made wool blend blazers are perfect in Texas year-round. Foley's must agree. When we bought this one at Foley's, we paid $155. At the Men's Warehouse, the same blazer is only $99, a cool $56 less, and we'll press it forever for free. I guarantee it.
14 stores, including the Gulf Freeway, the North Freeway, the Katy Freeway, Greens Point Drive, 2 stores in Westheimer, are now open in Meyer Park.
Well, some said it couldn't be done.
Yeah, it's amazing how things change from week to week, isn't it? All down last week, we're happy this week. Last week, we're down on the Oilers, and today after the game, Mike Ditka of the Bears is saying, I don't know if we'll ever win a game again.
Jeez.
Boy, how things change around, huh? Sounds kind of trivial, but teams have to learn how to win, and hopefully that's exactly what the Oilers did today up in Chicago. The team that couldn't win on the road wins on the road, not only wins on the road, but beats the best team, one of the best teams in the league in the process. Oilers 33, Bears 28. and suddenly the Oilers have a new lease on life. Early story in this game, the inability of the Oilers to take advantage of turnovers. Mike Tomczak threw 4 interceptions on the day. Steve Brown got that one. Then Warren Moon to Drew Hill, 47-yard pickup. The Oilers got it inside the 15. Problem is they couldn't score inside the 10 today. Moon throws it to Duncan off his hands. It gets picked off, and just like that, a scoring opportunity goes awry. But the big play was the salvation of the Oilers today. Moon up top to Drew Hill, 42 yards on the touch, and that made it 10-7 Oilers at that point. They get another turnover. Bubba McDowell with a big hit on Neil Anderson. Grimsley recovers. All they could get out of it was a field goal. Again, the Bears are going to fumble the football. This time Bird would recover, but what do the Oilers do? Moon throws an interception. Again, they can't take advantage of the turnover. Tomczak then to Dennis Gentry. The scramble apparently brought Steve Brown up. Gentry got behind him 79 yards later, 21-10 Bears. But then take a look at the catch coming up by Haywood Jeffries. We talk about big plays, none bigger than that grab right there, 21-19. It was 28-26 when a 3rd and 2 play from their own 20, and Alan Pinkett makes a couple of beautiful moves. 60 yards later, the Oilers are in business, and look at Dickhead. Somebody catch him, somebody catch him. They finally did, but it didn't do any good because nobody caught Lorenzo White. He scores 33-28. The Oilers will win.
Coming in the locker room, that's the thing that was exactly on our mind, was this is the way we want to play, this is the way we want to be, and this is the point that we've made the turn to becoming the Houston Oilers we thought we were.
We just didn't give up today, and a lot of people thought it was over 28-19, but we didn't, and we just kept plugging away.
16 completions, 317 yards, a day of big plays. Now the story of the Herschel Walker trade one game later. Dallas loses to San Francisco. Minnesota beats Green Bay. First of all, the Cowboys and the Niners tied at 7. The Niners' Steve Wallace blocks the punt attempt, and Johnny Jackson, remember him from the University of Houston, one of the leading interceptors in the nation. When he was there, he goes 75 yards. It was 14-7 Niners. It was tied at 14 when Steve Young, in place of Joe Montana today, to Jerry Rice, and the final was 31-14 49ers. As for Herschel's debut in Minnesota, this is the opening kickoff, at least for the opening kickoff for the Vikings, and look what Herschel does, 51 yards. At that point, they trailed 7-0. Then his first play from scrimmage, he's not only going to run out of his shoe, watch it fly up in the air, he gains 47 yards, 148 for him on the day, and the Vikings win 26-14. On the scoreboard, Miami beat Cincinnati. More good news for the Oilers because Cleveland is losing to Pittsburgh. Giants 2017 over the Skins. Tampa Bay a loser to Detroit. In the third quarter, New Orleans on top of the Jets. Also in the third, Philadelphia 14-5 over Phoenix. Also in the third, Seattle is leading San Diego 17-10. In the fourth, Denver on top of Indianapolis. And in the fourth, the Raiders 13-7 over Kansas City. And again, coming up at 7:30 tonight here on 13, Game 2 of the World Series, Oakland and San Francisco. And hopefully we get a competitive game tonight.
Yeah.
A's on top, one game tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Tim.
Well, when we come back, Frank Billingsley is going to join us once again. More on the progress of Hurricane Jerry.
Stay with us for that.
Expect more from Houston's leading information source, The Chronicle. More sports coverage, more arts and entertainment, the city's largest news staff and only metropolitan section, more local business, and the state's top-selling classified. The biggest newspaper in Texas has to be the best. Call now for delivery tomorrow morning, 220-7211.
Toyota's 1990 4x4. Don't leave the road without it.
Popeyes has you lined up with 9 to go. Yes, 9 big, delicious pieces of Popeyes' famous fried chicken. Here's the box formation. The backfield lines up deep with the great taste of Popeyes. Here's the snap. It's up the middle and touchdown! What a price! 9 tasty pieces, just $5.99. The crowd is going wild. Get your 9 to go for only $5.99 before they're all gone. You'll love that chicken from Popeyes.
Talked a lot about the Texas Gulf Coast and what they're experiencing with Hurricane Jerry, and Frank's going to tell us more about what we in Houston can feel at the storm.
We've gotten a lot of calls from people saying, okay, we've gotten the idea on Galveston. What can we expect in Houston? We'll get to that, but let's take a recap of everything that's been going on, starting with our own weather. To get that out of the way, we had a low of 67 and a high of 84. Rain amounts have been just traces to none around the area. Right now, 80 degrees at Intercontinental. Here at the station, 78. Hobby's at 84. The humidity, 82%. Winds only out of the northeast at 9, although Hobby Airport has picked up some wind gusts of up to 30 miles an hour. So Jerry making his presence felt there. 29.70 and falling. The pressure is going to continue to fall throughout the evening as Jerry continues to move onshore. Here's a look at the radar, and you can see the system from about 9 a.m. Around noon, we really start to get a nice tight eye there, and the system continues on a direct course right toward Galveston. It never let up from this course. We thought we were going to see a wobble for a while, and it did seem like it might not be able to make up its mind whether it was going to go northwest or north, but you could see it just continued on a northwesterly track and all the way up to where right now the eye is just about, it looks like 30 to 35 miles away from Galveston Island. Here's a satellite picture also in motion, and you can see the system again right toward the island there. We're looking at coordinates of 28.8 north and 94.7 west. That's 35 miles south of Galveston. The system is moving north at 13 miles an hour. It has now 85-mile-an-hour winds. It could gain just a little more strength before it actually makes landfall. So it's going to be a pretty good Category 1 storm as it hits on in. 29.06 the pressure now, so it has continued to drop and probably will drop just a little bit more before the system actually makes landfall. There are tornado watches and flash flood watches in effect for all of these areas that you see in red, all of these counties, including Matagorda, Brazoria, up through Galveston and Chambers, into Jefferson, Orange, Newton, Jasper, Tyler, Polk, Hardin, Liberty, San Jacinto under a flash flood watch and tornado watches for Montgomery, Harris, Fort Bend, and Waller counties. That tornado watch until 11 o'clock tonight. Certainly the conditions are favorable for some severe thunderstorms as well as some tornadic activity. Flood and flash flood watches in effect. In Galveston, expect 5 to 8 foot storm tides, could be as high as 10 feet. That's going to produce flooding of low-lying homes and roads. Some minor damage from wind to piers and small craft. Could see some pretty good water damage, though, to those piers as well. Signs, trees, shrubs, windows, and unanchored mobile homes. Power outages certainly will occur. 5 to 6 inches of rain or more, and we will also see those rain amounts in the Houston area. 5 to 6 inches, certainly a possibility. That will produce some flash flooding of streets, particularly those that are prone to flooding when we get sudden downpours. Look for areas particularly around creeks and bayous to flood. Some power outages will occur and some damage, particularly to small trees and shrubs, signs, and unanchored mobile homes. We also expect serious flooding in the eastern end of Galveston Island, the Bolivar Peninsula, Galveston Bay, Kemah, Seabrook, Clear Lake, Baytown, Houston, Ship Channel, and the Surfside area. We're looking at high tides occurring at 6:36 with Jerry's landfall between 8 and 9 p.m. That is going to create the worst possible scenario for coastal flooding. Galveston Bay obviously will be rough tomorrow as a small craft advisory continues. Offshore will also be rough with 6 to 8 foot seas. Tomorrow, a 50% chance of rain, so hopefully this thing will move on out of here tomorrow. On Tuesday, 30% chance, and actually, once we get rid of this storm, we do have some cooler air moving in toward the end of the week. So a little glimmer of optimism there in the forecast, but right now, the next 6 hours are going to be pretty rough. Some pretty heavy downpours and some power outages. Be prepared.
Keep an eye on it, Frank. Thanks. We'll be back with the final item in just a moment.
Stay with us.
I don't like driving across Houston and fighting the traffic to get the quality eye care that I need.
We heard you. That's why we opened eye care centers in Houston neighborhoods that are familiar and easy to reach. Man Eye clinics are now open in Memorial, Sharpstown, Humble, and off the Gulf Freeway. Because we're dedicated to your vision, we want you to have quality eye care that's convenient and close to home.
Man Eye Clinic. Call now for an appointment.
You make an investment when you buy furniture, so you should select the furniture you really want, not just settle for almost. Some people think that just because Star has the great names like Thomasville and Kincaid and the great looks like this, that it would cost more than ordinary furniture. Come to Star and let us show you what surprisingly affordable really means. We think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Surprisingly affordable Star Furniture.
More and more people choose to live in master-planned communities, and it's easy to see why most of them choose a home by Village Builders. another product of Friendswood Development Company.
Everybody needs a furnace, but not everyone needs to pay for one. Introducing Carrier's free furnace offer. Buy a Texas Tough air conditioning system with indoor coil, and Carrier will throw in this furnace absolutely free. This Carrier air conditioner comes with a 5-year parts and labor warranty, and this furnace comes, well, free. Buy a Texas Tough air conditioning system and get a furnace free. It's really not an offer you should walk away from.
Call the Carrier Comfort Connection, C-A-R-R-I-E-R.
Just a final note, our news crews are all in place and we'll bring you the latest on Hurricane Jerry throughout the evening.
For now, though, thank you for joining us and good night.